Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be making another extremely popular dish. Everyone's heard of this, and it is sweet corn soup. Now, sweet corn soup can be made either vegetarian or with chicken. I'm going to be making it with chicken today, but I will guide you throughout the recipe to make sure that if you're a vegetarian, you can make your own version without any animal products in it. Okay, so let's get started. So you're going to find different versions of this soup around the world. It's extremely popular in India, as you know, sweet corn soup. Any Chinese restaurant, in fact, multi-cuisine restaurants, all kinds of places always have a sweet corn soup on their menu, right? And when you go to Europe or the US, you'll find a version. They may call it, corn soup or egg drop corn soup, different names, but it's effectively the same thing. Now for this, there's two key processes which I'm going to make homemade, but you can cut this process entirely short by buying these ingredients store-bought, right? So the one is you need a good chicken stock, and that's what I'm going to do in this pot. And the other thing is you need cream-style corn. Now you can buy cream-style corn in a tin in most grocery stores, but they have preservatives in them. So I like to keep everything as fresh as possible. So I'm going to make my own cream-style corn over here and the chicken stock over here. So let's get started with the cream style corn first. So for that I have some butter, and just about 1 tablespoon of butter is plenty, not a lot. In that I'm going to add some corn that has been taken off the cob. So this is fresh corn. We'll drop that in there. Give that a quick toss. And while that's cooking, we're going to add some salt. And you add salt to your taste. Remember, you're going to add soy sauce and things later, so be careful with the salt. I'm going to add about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I think that's plenty. And this sweet corn, you can also, the cream corn, you can make extra and store it for later as well if you want to make something again with cream style corn. So it's not going to go to waste if you have extra. And then I'm also going to add some pepper powder. Add white, or this is white pepper powder, but you can add white or black. I've ground this fresh at home. And again, about a 1/4 teaspoon of that. Not too much, we just want a little bit. And then I'm also going to add a little bit of sugar because cream style corn is a little sweet. Now, corn has a natural sweetness to it already, so we don't have to add too much. That's a little bit of sugar over there. You add it to your taste again. We give that a quick stir. The next key ingredient, now this is the same corn off the cob. All I've done is I put it in a blender and made a paste, as you can see. This is just pure corn. And I've added some water just to get the paste, but that's about it. There's nothing else in this. So I add that to my mixture. So all we have in there is corn right now. And I'm also going to give it a quick stir at the moment. And we'll add some milk. This is about 3 tablespoons of milk, and that just gives it a nice little creaminess to it. I'm going to let this boil for about a minute or so, and then I'm going to add some water to it. Let that cook. In the meantime, let's get to our chicken stock. So I have 2 liters of water that's boiling over here. To that I'm going to add chicken. Now add chicken that's on the bone. That's very important because bones add flavor. Now if you're making chicken, now if you're making a vegetarian version, instead of chicken, you'll put carrots in here to make a vegetable stock. Of course, the easier thing to do is just use chicken soup cube, and for every liter of water I would use 1 chicken cube or 1 tablespoon of chicken stock powder, and you can make a chicken stock that way, but I'm making it fresh. Now the beauty of this is it serves 2 purposes. I'm also boiling my chicken, which I need to do to cook it off, and the same water in which I boil this will be used for a stock. So I've added my chicken, and to my stock I'm going to add some onions. And I'm going to come back here and give this a quick stir. We don't want this to burn. Okay, that looks good. And I'm cooking this on a medium flame because we don't want this to cook on a high heat. So back to this. I'm going to add also some ginger garlic paste, which adds a beautiful flavor. This is ginger and garlic freshly ground. You can see the color difference. So I'm going to add about 1 teaspoon to 1.5 teaspoons of ginger garlic paste in there. Just mix my spoon, that's perfect. And I also add just a couple of cloves. Now you don't want the flavor of cloves in this soup. It is just to neutralize or balance the flavor of chicken. So we throw some cloves in there, and back to my salt and pepper. So the last two things are salt and pepper. Again, about I think half a teaspoon of pepper should do it. And salt, as always, to taste. Remember, the cream corn also has salt in it. So again, I'm putting about half a teaspoon. It's a lot of water, but we're going to add soy sauce later, like I said. So we're going to let this come to a boil. This has to cook, and it's getting a little dry. So if it gets dry, just add some water. That's all you have to do to it. And this will take about 2 minutes. This should take about 10 to 15 minutes. When we're done, we'll be back to the next step. Okay, 15 minutes later, my chicken stock is done, and so is my cream style corn. Get a closer look. You can see whole corn kernels in there, but you can also see the creaminess, right? And that's a nice thick consistency. That's what I want. I'm going to be using all of this today. If you have leftover, use it for something else. This can be stored in the fridge or the freezer for even a couple of months. Now, with my chicken stock, a couple of steps. One, I'm going to remove my chicken from there. I've used legs and thighs today, but you can use chicken breast or whatever you prefer. And again, if you're using veggies, then use carrots, beans, corn, all of that goes well in here. Now, what I have left is a very flavorful stock, except I obviously have things like onions and cloves in there. I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to strain this completely and put it back in the same pot. And in the meantime, the chicken over here, we're going to let that cool just for a couple of minutes because it's going to be very hot to handle. And when it cools, what I'm going to do is either you have two choices. One is shredded by hand, and you get nice shreds of chicken, or you can cut into 1 centimeter cubes, just small cubes, bite size, which will be perfect in your sweet corn soup. So I have my stock boiling over here, and this has been strained, and it's a clear stock now. All the onions and cloves and ginger and garlic that we put in there are gone, but the flavors are definitely in there, right? And my cream style corn is done. I'm going to add that to my stock, and I'm going to use all of it because I really like the flavor of corn. Now, let's assume that this is where you were starting and you had store-bought ingredients, right? You would already have sweet corn or cream corn rather, and you would already have a chicken stock. So this is where you would actually start, and it'll be a very easy recipe for you. But the downside is you will not have the benefit of absolutely fresh ingredients. So I've showed you the whole process, and as you can see, I've cut up my chicken. Normally people put about 250 grams. This is about 500 grams of chicken with the bone. And it's probably down to about 250 grams now of pure chicken meat. So it's a lot, but I like my soup that way. So I'm going to add all of this in there as well. And I have some spring onions here. I'm going to throw a little bit in there right now for flavor. And the rest of it will go as garnish a little bit later. So I'll drop that in there and again stir it up. And I'm going to turn my heat off at this stage. Let that mix. And I have a cornstarch slurry here with about 2 to 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. Use as much as you need depending on how thick you like your soup. I'm going to move this off heat and drop my cornstarch slurry in there. Beautiful. And we want to keep stirring. We don't want chunks of cornstarch in there. So now you can see my soup is already thickening a little bit. And if you want it thicker, we just make more cornstarch slurry. As simple as that. So give that a quick stir. Now the soup is hot enough. So at this stage, I'm going to add egg. Now there's two ways to do this. If you want a really thin satin egg thread, then use a fork and sieve the egg through the fork. But I like mine chunky. So I'm going to pour it in there. But of course, you still want to be slow when you're pouring. And the residual heat that's in here is still going to cook the eggs, as you will see in a minute. So I'm pouring it slowly and keep stirring constantly at this stage. And you can see nice little satin threads already forming. I'm pouring it slowly enough to where I don't need a fork. But if you are not comfortable pouring slowly, then I suggest you use that fork. And you can see I have a nice mixture of corn, I have egg, I have chicken, but my soup is still a little bit thin, which means I need a little more cornstarch. So I'm going to add 2 more tablespoons of cornstarch to this, and then I'll serve it up in a bowl and show you how it's traditionally eaten. There are a couple of side ingredients and sauces that you want to put in this to enhance the flavor. Alright, as you can see, I've served up a nice beautiful bowl of soup. I've got some corn in there. Look at this corn, beautiful. It's corn, chicken, and I garnish it with some fresh spring onions, excuse me. And now, the way this is normally served in restaurants is you have 2 or 3 ingredients here. There's some soy sauce. I'm using a light soy just to tone down the salt, but they use regular soy in restaurants. And this, in any Indian Chinese restaurant, you'll find this sauce. It's a green chili sauce, which, you know, the new age Chinese restaurants unfortunately don't serve it, but I love this sauce and I wish more restaurants would serve this. And of course, you have chili vinegar. So you want to put as much as you like. These are all customizable. So I'm going to put about 1 spoon of my chili vinegar, maybe a little bit more vinegar in there, and about a spoon of chili to get some kick and oomph in there, and about a spoon of soy sauce. So you put all of that in there, give it a quick mix, and now this soup is ready to be eaten. So let's give it a taste and see how it is. Let me get a little bit of everything in there. And it's very hot. Oh, fantastic. Just like you get in restaurants. And you know, please do try this at home. Whether you're a vegetarian or a non-vegetarian, make sweet corn veg or sweet corn chicken soup. Hearty, warms the soul. I guarantee you're going to love it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.